excited to have Rachel Ignotofsky here today. She's one of our favorite non-fiction writer and illustrators, kind of one of our go-tos. Wondrous Workings of Planet Earth is definitely one of our top rags. We love What's Inside a Flower, that's a super fun one. And then, yeah, all of your women's history ones are fantastic, because I have the attention span of, I think, probably an 8 or 9-year-old, so I'm like, I want to have the, you know, concise, fun information with the great illustrations, but I don't want to read it. So it's perfect.
Well, you know, the news is written at an 8th grade level, so that's what I try to do. So, like, yeah, my books are for kids, but they're also for adults.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm an adult and I love kids stuff.
That's all I know. So, I forget, which book was the first one that you wrote?
The first book that I ever wrote was Woman in Science, which I'm not seeing right here.
We do definitely have it. It was over there somewhere, but yeah.
And the great thing about Woman in Science is that it really helped start my whole publishing career. Oh, here. Oh, we have the board book version.
Yeah, the board books are super cute.
Yeah, aren't they cute? They're like little bite-sized versions of the big book. So the Woman in Science was my first publishing project, and it was just a really needed reference text in schools. I made it as a tool for teachers to help them teach women's history alongside science history. And lucky for me, it became a New York Times bestseller, and it was on the New York Times bestseller list for about 94 weeks.
Wow.
So the success of that book helped me launch the entire Women in series, and then also do more projects in scientific literacy, like What's Inside of a Flower and The Wondrous Workings of Planet Earth, and my newest book, The History of the Computer.
Yeah, that's a great one, because like I'm not super into computers, but I was like, this is like the perfect like amount of information and like visual interest and everything. So it's really fun, and yeah, they're just, the illustrations are so beautiful and so fun and like just really draw you in. And then yeah, just like kind of like the information is just so succinctly put, but like in depth and like really well researched and thought out. It's fantastic. Did you always want to do like nonfiction? Like when you started art school, did you?
Well, I was actually really inspired by a class I took in high school, which was a human anatomy class. And by learning more about my body and how, just like the idea that like you digest food, different kinds of food in different ways, just like learning something small like that, I understood myself better. And then I was like, my art started getting influenced by the stuff I was learning in my science classes. And when I was, you know, no longer a baby artist, an adult artist who has graduated and is working on the kind of artwork that I would want to make on my own time was art that was inspired by science and history, that talked about things that I thought were important and help people learn new things, because I love learning new things.
Right. That's fantastic. And what would you say are your biggest influences as far as your art style? I mean, you said the science part, but like maybe
well, my art style, I feel like, is influenced a lot by, you know, like cartoons I love, and, you know, like I grew up watching SpongeBob, and also like stuff like Magic School Bus, Pee-wee's Playhouse, like all these stuff that really jazzed me up as a kid. That's the stuff that gets stuck in your head, and it also like spreads joy. So that's also like what I try to do with all of my artwork. Even if I'm talking about serious topics like, you know, like how to better understand the technology that we need every day, or like, you know, how to protect our planet. I still feel like you could do it with a bunch of happy faces on the page too.
Right.
And I think it makes it easier for people to approach topics that maybe they aren't very confident in, but it's really important that they learn.
Definitely, because there are a bunch of books in the nonfiction, but they're either photographs or they're kind of like dry. So I think your visual styling really draws people in, and then you've got the information to back it up, and it's fantastic.
Well, illustration is the most powerful tool that when it comes to education, and I think it's because it sparks like the own reader's imagination, but also it helps tell a visual story instantaneously. And sometimes you need to like, you know, like surpass words. You have to like jump ahead of words, get people to understand the story with pictures, and then they can like really deep dive into like the complicated
The picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, exactly.
So, do you have any future projects that you're allowed to talk about, or that you're
Oh,
just mulling
yeah.
over?
Well, right now I'm actually continuing the series that this book is. So this is What's Inside a Flower, and it's a book that we're going to read to everyone today. And what's cool about it is that it's on elementary science core curriculum, and at the same time, it helps you explore the biology that's in your own backyard. So I am right now working on what's inside a caterpillar's cocoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a big, beautiful moth on the cover of that book. And then I also am doing what's inside a bird's nest. So those are just the next two in this series, but there will be much, much more, and I'm really excited about it.
Great. Was there anything else you wanted to share about just your style or your background?
You know, it's really interesting because when we were talking about this book right here, The History of the Computer, you were kind of saying like, oh, you know, like I'm not that interested in tech, but like your book was really cool, and I've been getting that a lot. And that's kind of why I wanted to make this book, because we stare at our phones every single day. And the reason that I wanted to do this book is because I was staring at my phone every day, and I was like, where did you come from? How did this get into my life? And everything I do is filtered through these amazing tools that I have on my computer, and like a lot of great things have happened in my life because of computers. And also, I feel like sometimes computers can be really frustrating. So how to solve that is to go back to literally cavemen counting on their fingers and toes and explaining why they had to build tools to help them think better. And so that's what this book tries to do. It tries to help you understand the tools that you need and that you use every day. So I'm really excited about this book. It published a month ago. So yeah, those are my two little babies right now. Flower book and computer book. That's what I call them at home.
So you use mostly computers for your illustrations?
Yeah, like when I illustrate, I draw a lot with pen, and then I end up scanning those into the computer, going on Photoshop. I use Adobe Illustrator to really plan everything out, because my stuff is so text heavy, and I do have a graphic design background, which means I come at everything as a graphic designer. How do I organize a hierarchy of typography? That's like the fancy way of saying it. How do I organize all these words on the page? And so, yeah, I really go back and forth. I'm printing things out, I'm redrawing them, I'm scanning them in, I'm drawing them again. But yeah, Photoshop, I've been using that since I was 16, so it's a powerful tool that, and I believe in using every tool you can to make your art.
Yeah, that does have to be tricky, just like the amount of information on the page and like keeping the visual appeal, but also making sure it's clear and like, you know, people reading it in the right order and like getting it's really well put together.
Oh yeah, well, you know, again, my graphic design background really helps me with all that. And planning the words out with the illustration in a program like Adobe Illustrator is a really great place to start.
Awesome. Great. Well, did you want to read yours?
Yes,
you ready?
without further ado, let's read What's Inside a Flower, everybody. So, let's start, and let me see what's on the screen. Oh, nothing. Wake up, little computer. Oh. Okay, let's put it on again.
Is that the channel?
Awesome. Okay, so what's inside a flower? Flowers live everywhere. They bloom in bustling cities, lush jungles, soggy swamps, blistering deserts, and high up on rocky mountaintops. Flowers are found growing on trees in orchards, on the vines of fruit, in grassy fields, and in fancy gardens. Now, let's say, look at this little bee. This little bee has something he wants to say. Vegetables with seeds are scientifically considered fruit. I didn't know that. Thanks, little bee. Flowers come in many colors, shapes, and sizes. But how does a flower grow? Why do flowers bloom on plants? And what's inside a flower? Science will help us answer those questions. As a flower starts as a seed underground, the seed will begin to grow roots and its first leaves. above ground and below. Bugs, bacteria, and fungi all munch, crunch, and wiggle their way through the dirt. These are called decomposers. Decomposers eat waste, like garbage, dead things, and poop.
Ew.
Ew. By breaking down waste, decomposers make new soil. Soil is the perfect place for a seed to grow into a flower.
Hey, it says soil on the paper.
It does say soil on the paper. There's also lots of other words labeling things throughout it. I think it's really cool that you can explore the page like that. Thank you. With time, the seed will become a much larger plant. The flower's roots spread deep into the ground, keeping the plant sturdy so it can grow tall. Rich soil has water and minerals that a plant needs to grow. Rainwater soaks into the soil, traveling down to the roots. The minerals in the soil help the plant grow strong. The root hairs slurp up the water and the minerals. A flower stem grows out of the soil. Water and minerals from under the ground travel up through the stem to the rest of the plant. The stem holds up the plant's leaves and flowers high above the ground. Leaves are food for many animals.
Like ladybugs?
Just like ladybugs. What does this ladybug have to say?
Grrr.
Yeah, let's all make a roar. Roar!
Oh, and it also says yum and aphid.
Yeah, and then yum a leaf, because look, an aphid is having a snack while a ladybug stalks its tiny prey. The ladybug's a tiny little predator.
Look at there's a caterpillar.
Yeah,
He's going munch crunch.
he is going munch crunch. Leaves have a special job of absorbing sunshine. Plants turn sunlight into a food in a process called photosynthesis. Turning sunlight into food is a plant's superpower. During photosynthesis, plants also make fresh air. Carbon dioxide from the air goes in, and fresh oxygen comes out. Plants make the oxygen in the air that everyone breathes. Let's all take a deep breath, everyone. Yeah, thanks, plants. Just like people need food to grow big and strong, a flower needs sunshine, water, and minerals to grow. When flowering plants get big enough, buds will appear. Each bud opens little by little until it blooms into a beautiful flower.
Even it says sepal for the little leaves.
Oh yeah, the little tiny leaves that are kind of in the connecting point between the flower and the stalk are called the sepal. That's right. Look inside a flower to see where the seeds are made. The stamen makes fluffy grains called pollen. So where's the stamens? See? These are the stamens, and that is the little pollen.
Yeah, the little pollen's yellow.
Yeah, it is. And it also will make you sneeze. The pistil has a pistil has a sticky stigma and tiny egg cells called ovules. And that's the pistil, and these are the tiny egg cells. A new seed can only grow when a pollen lands on a flower stigma. This is called pollination. A few types of flowers can make seeds all by themselves. Most flowers need pollen from another plant to make seeds. Many flowers need help to be pollinated. Some flowers rely on the wind to spread their pollen. Other flowers use animals. These animals are called pollinators.
Like butterflies?
Just like butterflies. That's right. These flowers create nectar that many pollinators love to eat. Bees, butterflies, birds, and bats all reach inside the flowers for a tasty treat. The pollen sticks to their bodies. And as the pollinators snack from flower to flower, they spread pollen and help to create seeds. Flowers attract pollinators in different ways. Many flowers have colorful petals. These are like neon signs saying, nectar's here. Some flowers have strong smells to attract pollinators. Night blooming flowers smell especially sweet, so pollinators can find them in the dark. A flower's petal shape makes feeding easy for local pollinators. Some petals are shaped like landing pads for bugs, while other flowers are perfect for long tongues and beaks. The more pollinators that visit a flower, the more chances there are for new seeds to be made. Many plants use seeds to reproduce and spread new plants around the world. Flowers create new seeds through pollination. Pollen lands on a flower stigma and grows a tiny tube that travels down an ovule to the egg cell. When the pollen grain and the ovule join, a brand new seed begins to grow.
The bee has something to say.
Oh yeah, you're right, the bee does have something to say. This is how pollen begins to fertilize an ovule, says the bee. Oh, there he is. And then what does this bee say? Oh, he's giving even more detail. A grain of pollen and an ovule each have half of what is needed to make a seed. As the seed gets bigger, the flower begins to change. Petals wilt and fall as a fruit or pod grows to protect the precious seed. The fruits, husks, and pods that protect seeds come in all different shapes and sizes.
Like big ones?
Yeah, there's cucumbers, there's pomegranates.
Apple, my favorite.
Yeah, apples also grow to protect the seeds that are inside of the apple.
Oh.
As time passes, the seeds become ready to be planted.
Yum.
Some seeds burst out of their pods wherever they fall. Other seeds will be eaten by animals and scattered when they poop. Remember that? Look at that seed. There's the seed. Seeds travel near and far. They roll down hills, fly on the water, and float away in water.
And some things get on its head.
They do get on pets. That's because some seeds have wings that help them glide. Some seeds are hard and heavy, and as you said, look at the little cat, they're even seeds with hooks to catch a ride on a passerby. Once a seed finds a spot in the soil, a new plant will grow, and a new flower will
And
bloom.
another flower, and another, and another, and another, and another.
That's right, that's what seeds can do for us. We have learned how each part of a flower does an important job. Seeds are made inside the flower. Petals help attract pollinators. The leaves absorb sunlight and make food.
I'm gonna find it.
The stem holds the plant up tall, and the roots slurp up the water and the minerals. We also learned that flowers do important things for everyone. Like you said, a flower seed helps spread new plants all over the world.
Again, and again, and again.
And again and again.
And again, and again, and again.
Plants make fresh air. Flowers grow into food for people and animals. Yum. Plants also do countless other things. So what will you plant in your garden? What will you grow? Yummy tomatoes? Sweet smelling lavender? Giant sunflowers? Whatever you plant in your garden will be lovely because you know what's inside a flower and you understand the science that make flowers special. Happy flowers mean a happy earth for you and me. And oh yeah, there's all these sources that you can visit and more books to read. So that's the exciting stuff that's on the back of it. And then I made this really cool pattern too. I love making patterns, so any chance I get. So that's my book, and I guess we'll be taking some questions from the
Did
audience.
anybody have a question? Yeah.
Why do flowers grow a lot?
Why do flowers grow a lot? Well,